اللهم صل على محمد वाले محمد। इसी दुरूद से हो बंदगी खुदा की कबूल, इसी दुरूद से होता है खुस्न जनाब रसूल, इसी दुरूद से होते हैं नाजियो सुमूल, इस दुरूद से होते कसर खुल उसूल। मोए बोचारो दमासूम पढ़ दुरूद पढ़।
If we can all recite one surah al-Mubarakat al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله بارئ الخلائق الأجمعين، باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء، حبيب قلوبنا وشفيع ذنوبنا، أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. ثم الصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المذلومين، لا سيما ولي الله الحجة ابن الحسن صاحب الأمر والزمان. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. روحي وأرواح العالمين له الفداء، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة، ويا باب نجاة الأمة، يا غريب الغرباء، يا مظلوم كربلاء. السلام على من جعل الله الشفاء في تربته، السلام على من الإجابة تحت قبته، السلام على ساكن كربلاء. فيا ليتنا ثم يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي، يا سادتي، فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، قال مولانا إمام حسن بن علي المجتبى صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا يوم كيومك يا أبا عبد الله، صدق الإمام وآمنا به، نوروا مجالسكم بذكر محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba on his deathbed makes an eternal declaration while he is talking to his brother Sayyid al-Shuhada. In that on his deathbed, Imam al-Hussein is present. Imam al-Mujtaba, due to the effects of the poison which was granted to him by his wife Ju'dah al-La'ina, you find that the Imam is in a severe state of pain. He states that as if the insides of my body was lit on fire due to the poison. And in addition to this, you find that the Imam is vomiting blood, but the intensity of the poison is such that his insides begin disintegrating, and he coughs out pieces of his inside while he is vomiting with blood in a tasht. At this point, Imam al-Hussein is weeping for his brother. Imam Hassan asks him, "Why do you weep?" Imam Hussein says, "I weep for your grief and for your pain." And at this point, Imam al-Mujtaba says, "My pain and my being poisoned on one side, but la yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. There is no day like your day, Ya Hussein. There is no day like Karbala. There is no land. There is no day like Ashura. There is no land like Karbala." This is a statement delivered by Imam al-Mujtaba. This day of Ashura, these days which we are coming to commemorate, these days which we hope to seek inspiration from, these days which are categorized as Ayyamullah, it becomes important and it is vital for us to understand the significance of these days which we are attending. Imam al-Mujtaba says, "La yawm ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah." There is no day like the day of Ashura. Yani from the time that this earth was created until the day of judgment, there is no day that can match Ashura, unparalleled. In terms of its adhamah, in terms of its sanctity. Ajib. From within the days that are absolutely great in human history is the dhuhur of Imam Sahib al-Amri wa Zaman, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The day when the awaited Mahdi shall arise. وَيَمْلَأُ الْأَرْضَ عَدْلًا وَقِسْطًا كَمَا مُلِئَتْ ظُلْمًا وَجَوْرًا. The day where this awaited Mahdi shall fill the entire earth with peace and justice, just like the way it has been overcome with oppression and injustice. This day of the dhuhur of the 12th Imam, which is mentioned in the Quran but through the ta'wil as being إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. The day of the dhuhur of the 12th Imam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes it as إِذَا جَاءَ Nasrullah, the victory from Allah. Dhuhur of the Imam on one side, but as per the statement of Imam al-Mujtaba, Karbala on another side. The day of the reappearance of the Imam is a day azim jiddan. But Karbala in its significance and its sanctity, something else. In fact, the dhuhur of the 12th Imam, a part of the mission of the 12th Imam, rather the primary aspect of the Imam's mission upon his reappearance, as per dua and nudba, is to seek vengeance for the blood of Imam al-Hussein that was spilled in Karbala. Which is why in dua and nudba, you cry out every Friday, and you say, أين الطالب بدم المقتول بكربلاء. Where is that awaited Savior who shall avenge for the pure blood that was spilled in Karbala? Imam Sahib al-Amr is able and will fill the earth with peace and justice. How? By implementing the values for which Imam al-Hussein sacrificed his life for in Karbala. Therefore, the dhuhur of the 12th Imam, the filling of the earth with peace and justice, is through the implementation of those values and principles for which Imam al-Hussein gave his life. The primary mission of the Imam upon his reappearance, to avenge and to seek vengeance for that pure blood that watered the sands of Karbala on the day of Ashura. Karbala is that central axis of inspiration. Karbala is the central axis of our ideology around which the entire ideology circumambulates. Enter Janabak if you want to be a part of those elite 313 companions of Imam al-Hujjah, or you aspire to be from the thousands who will be of the regular Ansar. You need to seek inspiration from the companions in Karbala. You look at the narrations that speak about the qualities and the characteristics of those 313. The personification of those characters are the individuals who gave their life in Karbala, the 72 individuals. Therefore, Karbala for us, our identity, our inspiration, our roadmap to success. Such that Imam al-Mujtaba says there is no day like the day of Ashura. You find that Ashura was the day of the greatest battle to have ever taken place on this earth between Haqq and Batil. In that the parties of Haqq were so clear and the parties of Batil were so clear, there was no gray area. There was no room for anybody to be confused. The scales were absolutely clear. On one hand, you had 72 companions who resembled virtue and righteousness and godliness at the highest degree perceivable on earth. The purest of purest men on one side. And on the other hand, you had the most evil, corrupt, deviant people on earth. This group of 70,000 bloodthirsty men that stood against the 72 men of God, in reality, through their actions, they unmasked a face of Satanism that had never been seen before that day on this earth. Therefore, the scales are absolutely clear. The highest degree of purity, the highest degree of ideology, the highest degree of morality, the highest degrees of integrity on one hand, and you have the lowest of the low and the most ugliest manifestation and the most evil manifestation of the devil himself on one hand. And if you see that there were two parties that were clearly divided along these two lines, you find that one of the descriptions of the day of Ashura, Yawmul Ashura, is known as Yawmul Fasl, the day of division. Fasl, yani the day of division. Karbala was the day of division. One hand you have men of honor and integrity. One hand, people who represent evil and corruption in its entirety. So to understand the reality, or to try and understand a part of the azamah of the day of Ashura as the day of Fasl, as Yawmul Fasl, the day of division, we need to understand this day of Ashura through the Quran. In that within the Quran, the day of judgment, Yawmul Qiyamah, is also described as Yawmul Fasl. You have a different number of names that are given to the day of Ashura, to the day of judgment within the Quran. There's a request, if you may kindly move a little bit forward so the brothers who are coming after have space to sit. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So we said that Yawmul Ashura is Yawmul Fasl. The day of Ashura is the day of division, Yawmul Fasl. And in order to understand the magnitude and the implications and the sanctity of the day of Ashura, we need to come back to the Quran and to the Hadith. In that you'll find this term or this phrase, Yawmul Fasl, within the Quran is used to describe the day of judgment. Yawmul Qiyamah has a number of descriptions, or it is described in a number of ways within the Quran. For you find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the day of judgment in the Quran as Yawmul Fasl. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Hadha Yawmul Fasl, Jama'nakum wal awwalin. This is the day of division, where we shall resurrect each and every person who has been born and has walked on the face of this earth. From the time of Adam till the day of judgment. Every living being, every living soul, to be more accurate, shall be resurrected. And the resurrection on the day of judgment, Ahibba'i, is a resurrection which is jismani. We shall be resurrected in our bodies. We shall not be resurrected through our souls, the way some devious philosophers within the Muslim school of thought or Sufis would like us to believe. In fact, this is against the Quran. Our resurrection on the day of judgment is a resurrection through our body. This is established within the Quran. In Surah Al-Yasin, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet says to them that you shall be raised on the day of judgment and you will be accountable for your actions. وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقًا قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ. He said to Rasulullah, who is going to raise us from the graves and recollect our decayed bones? هُوَ الَّذِي أَنْشَأَ, the one who created you the first time. The one who initiated your creation is the same one who is going to resurrect you and gather together your bones and put together your flesh for a second time after we have come into rotted, decayed particles to be brought back again in our coffins. And you are standing on the day of judgment in front of Allah. I advise myself and I advise each and every one of you to concentrate on the verses of the Quran from the 29th and the 30th juz'. Read their translations, read their tafsir, because these 29th and 30th juz' of the Quran, the entire concentration is on Aqidah, Usuluddin, Tawheed, Adala, Nabuwa, Imama, and Ma'ad, the hereafter. Within the Ma'ad hereafter, there is Yawmul Qiyamah. Look at the description of Yawmul Qiyamah within the Quran. You have to know what to expect in the future. Knowledge of the future, knowledge of the unseen. You look today within the wider community, Muslims and non-Muslims, people are willing to pay thousands of pounds in order to try and tell the future and to discover what their destiny might be. Maku, palm reading and things like that. It is within man's intrinsic need to try and figure out what the future, to try and anticipate what the future holds for him. Allah within the Quran is outlining for us our future, what to expect, such that we can prepare accordingly. Yawmul Qiyamah We come out and we are resurrected from our graves after our bones and our flesh decayed have been put together. We are raised with our deeds in our coffin. Let me read for you, because this leads towards Karbala. Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Let me narrate for you what happens. Surah Al-Waqi'ah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. إِذَا وَقَعَتِ الْوَاقِعَةِ لَيْسَ لِوَقَعَتِهَا كَاذِبَةٌ. When the day of judgment comes, when that event falls upon you, this event, the day of judgment, which a number of people are trying to belie. Is this not the greatest argument of the atheist? When he comes and tells you that your existence is on earth, and when you die, your existence is over. There is no resurrection. To belie the resurrection, to belie the day of judgment, the day of accountability. Allah says in the Quran that day definitely will come and the liars shall be exposed. I don't know if you have a brand of clothing over here known as YOLO. YOLO. You only live once. Might sound like a logo that is harmless. But if you look into the reasoning of that marketing department and the brains behind this logo, a subconscious manner to promote an atheistic culture. You only live once, enjoy it the way you want. There is no accountability. فأنت جنابك, being the one who carries the risala of Imam al-Hussein and the flag of Amir al-Mu'mineen in the West, you got to be sharp about what ideology is being fed to you at a conscious and a subconscious level, whether it is media or anything else. Mu'min is sharp in his mind, alert. Anyway, إذا وقعت الواقعة وليس لوقعتها كاذبة خافضة رافعة. The day where certain people will be honored and certain people will be disgraced. إذا رجت الأرض رجا. The day when the earth shall be overcome with a great earthquake and a trembling. إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وبست الجبال بسا. You find that the mountains on this earth come crumbling down like dust. فَكَانَتْ هَبَاءً مُنْبَثًّا. Can you perceive or imagine this frightful picture around you in your mind? وَكُنْتُمْ أَزْوَاجًا ثَلَاثًا. So the day of judgment comes, the mountains are crumbling and there is a great earthquake and the earth is entirely flattened and we are resurrected, our decayed bones and flesh are put together, we are raised in our coffin. The day of judgment. How will we be raised? Yawmul Fasl, day of division. Well, we said Yawmul Ashura is Yawmul Fasl, day of division. Even on the day of judgment we are divided. Based on what? Divided based on our actions and our ideology. Look at what Allah says. وَكُنْتُمْ أَزْوَاجًا ثَلَاثًا. You shall be divided, entire mankind, into three categories, into three parties. What are these parties? فَأَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ. The first group of people who are known as the Ashabul Maymanah, the people of the right hand, people of honor, people of integrity, people of religion, men of values on one side. The other side, wa ashabul mash'amati ma ashabul mash'amah. The people of the left hand, yani the people of evil and corruption and deceit and deviation on one side. And then you find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduces a third category of people. والسابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون في جنات النعيم. The entire mankind is divided into two groups, into two divisions. Ashabul Maymana, people of the right hand, people of integrity, people of religion, people who are of value. On the left hand, Ashabul Mash'ama, the evil people. And in between the good and the evil, you have a category known as the Sabiqun as-Sabiqun. The first of the first. Those who are at the peak of every sort of virtue. Those who are at the peak of self-purification. Those who have reached the peak when it comes to the level of self-perfection that no other human being could have reached. Who are these Sabiqun as-Sabiqun? When we read the Quran, we have to read the Quran with contemplation. We have to ask questions. Our greatest tragedy is that we made the Quran a book for the dead. We recite it in the Fatiha for the marhumin. Allah, which is very good, very important. But Quran is not restricted to that. We need to widen it. Quran is the book of guidance for you and me, those who are alive. Constitution, roadmap to success. Who are these Sabiqun as-Sabiqun? Ulaika al-Muqarrabun. For we come back to the hadith. Rasulullah mentions hadith which has reached the highest level of i'tibar, in that there is no shak in this hadith, mentioned by ulama of the Ahl Shia, just like it is mentioned by the ulama of the Ahl Sunnah. Kitab Fara'idus Simtain. People came and asked Rasulullah, who are the Sabiqun as-Sabiqun? Because deep inside, man always wishes to be at the best, to have the best. I don't want to be from Ashabul Mash'ama, that's for sure. I know Ashabul Maymana is good, but I know there's a position higher than that. Man has it within his fitrah to always strive for the best. This maqam of Sabiqun as-Sabiqun, who is it for? Can we reach it? This person comes and asks Rasulullah, who are the Sabiqun as-Sabiqun? Fara'idus Simtain, book which is from the Ahl Sunnah. Hadith is recorded where Rasulullah said, Sabiqun as-Sabiqun. Nazalat hadhihi al-ayah, yani this verse was revealed. Lil anbiya'i wal awsiya wa ana afdalul anbiya wa Ali ibn Abi Talib afdalul awsiya. The Sabiqun as-Sabiqun is restricted to a group of individuals who are the prophets and the successors of the prophets, and I am the best of prophets, and Ali is the best of successors. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. For you find that the Sabiqun as-Sabiqun, you have three categories of people on the day of judgment. The people of the right, the people of the left, and then you have these divinely selected individuals. Sabiqun as-Sabiqun, the first of the first. Wallahi al-Azim, I take a qasam on the mimbar of Sayyid al-Shuhada, that if this hadith by Rasulullah did not exist, that Ali is from the Sabiqun as-Sabiqun, the seerah and the lifestyle of Amirul Mu'mineen would be enough for me as a free soul that has a mind to think with, to deduce and come to the conclusion that Ali is from the Sabiqun as-Sabiqun. Sabiqun as-Sabiqun, yani the first of the first. Look at the seerah of Amirul Mu'mineen. The first one to believe in the message of Rasulullah, Ali. The first one to volunteer to sleep on the bed of Rasulullah during the night of Hijrah, Ali. The first person in every battle, whether it was Badr, Khandak, Khaybar, Hunain, it was Ali. Read the Quran, Yawmul Khandak, the day of the trench, when Amr ibn Abdul Wad crossed over the trench and came and challenged the Muslims. Do you know Amr ibn Abdul Wad? I've recited his narration a number of times, but because we're at this maqam, he was one of the greatest warriors in the times of Arabia, historians say just his size was equivalent to 5 finger spans. Can you imagine somebody whose width is 5 finger spans? Massive. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, when I went out to challenge him in battle and he struck me with a sword, I felt as if a mountain has fallen upon me. This is Ali saying that a mountain has fallen upon me. When he crossed over the trench, he challenged the Muslims to a duel. The narrations or the historians mention that not a single companion of the Prophet was willing to meet Amr ibn Abdul Wad. The enemy is begging the Muslims for somebody to come out and challenge him. He's telling the ashab of Rasulullah, you say and you believe that if you die you go to Jannah? Come, I will send you to Jannah. The Quran says, fear upon them, and their souls reached their throat and they were about to regress and from their faith, to go back on their faith. At this point, nobody except Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib came out to fight Amr ibn Abd Wad. Which is why, Ya Ali, which is why when he came out into the Maidan, Rasulullah pointed at him and said, Barazal Iman kulli alal kufri kulli. The embodiment of Iman in its entirety, Yani Ali has come out to fight against kufr in its entirety. Ali is the sign of Iman until the day of judgment. You find this narrated by historians that do not even subscribe to our faith. فَأَنْتَ as a free soul, you are reading through history and you're confused. Who is on the right path on the day of Jamal? You come back to Rasulullah's hadith. Wherever Ali is Iman in its entirety. You want to find out who is on the right path in Siffin? Muslims killing Muslims. Jamal, Muslims killing Muslims. Both cannot be right, both cannot be wrong. Look for where Ali is and you will find that truth. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. For these people are the Mukarrabun. Is this Sabiqun only Amir al-Mu'mineen? La, the entire Ahlul Bayt. Janab, what is the dalil for that? Because in ideology, everything runs on proof. What is the dalil that, yes, Amir al-Mu'mineen, we understand his seerah, hadith Rasulullah. Why did you bring in Ahlul Bayt? The 11 Imams or the 11 men from the children of Amir al-Mu'mineen. The verse goes on to say that وَالسَّابِقُونَ السَّابِقُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ. Mukarrabun from the word Qarib or Qarab, yani Qarib, Mukarrabun, they have reached the highest level of proximity towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are at the highest level of perfection. If you have reached a level of proximity towards Allah, your life is such that your entire life is a reflection of your obedience and submission to Allah, and your entire life is a reflection of you being the most distant person from committing a sin. If you fulfill this criteria, that means you are ma'soom. If you are ma'soom, who are the ma'soom people? Subhanallah, Surah Al-Ahzab verse 33. إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. You find this ayat of tathir has come up a number of times over the last few nights. Every time from a different dimension. For you see, subhanallah, the centrality and the importance of us studying the Quran and being aware of those verses that are detrimental to our faith system. Tayyib. Ahlul Bayt from the Mukarrabun. And you find in particular this verse is applicable on Imam al-Hussein. Why? Because it says, Fi jannatin na'im. The sabiqun are people who will dwell in the highest level of Jannah. But we have hadith again that Imam al-Hussein does not only dwell in Jannah, but as per the hadith of Rasulullah, he is the king of Jannah. Sayyid al-Shabab Ahl al-Jannah. For therefore you find that you have three groups of people. Sabiquna Sabiqun, Ahlul Bayt, the Hujajullah, together with the Anbiya. And then you have the people of the right and the people of the left. Enta Janab, what determines your position on the day of judgment? Whether you will be on the people of the right or the people of the left. Those people who align themselves with the Sabiqun as-Sabiqun are the ones who deserve to be from the Ashabul Yamin. Yani, if you wish to have eternal success and to be raised on the category of people who are the people of nobility and the people of Jannah, you need to align yourself with Ahlul Bayt on that day. And the rest of the Quran speaks about this, especially if you look towards the last part. Now, perhaps we shall leave this for another time. Khulasa. Yawmul Fasl. The day of judgment, Yawmul Fasl, people are divided into three categories. Come to Karbala. On the day of Ashura, people are also divided into three categories. You have 70,000 bloodthirsty people, Ashabul Mash'amah. And then you have 72 men who represent the highest level of nobility and godliness, Ashabul Maymanah. And then you have the Ma'soom Imam Hussein ibn Ali, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Who represents the Sabiqun as-Sabiqun. The companions became Ashabul Maymana because they aligned themselves with Imam al-Hussein. And the other 70,000 became Ashabul Mash'ama because they bore enmity towards Imam al-Hussein. Allah. So depending, you see, based on this, the azama and the seriousness of the day of Ashura. The question is, you and me, which part of the division are we in? Are we with the Sabiqun as-Sabiqun? Are we from the Ashabul Maymana? Or are we from the Ashabul Mash'amah? I need to review my relationship with Ahlul Bayt and ask myself that question. Because the part of the division which I choose to live in this world is the same division that I'm going to find myself in the next world. Am I truthfully from the followers of Ahlul Bayt? If I claim to be a lover of Ahlul Bayt, then the first starting point is that everything to do with my deen, my aqidah and my furu'ud deen, I have to take from the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. Why is it that we have so much misguidance within our community when it comes to issues of ideology? Everyone has a different perception of the day of judgment. Everyone has a different perception of the justice of God. Everyone has a different perception of who will enter heaven and hell. Why? Because we failed to take our teachings from Ahlul Bayt. We decided to take the deen from everyone but Ahlul Bayt. And this is something between the brackets, Ahibai. I tell you with all my love and from the bottom of my heart, much as Islam tells us and commands us to seek knowledge, be very, very careful of where you take your deen from, especially when you're conducting your research on the internet. Yes, the net is that medium that has allowed free flow information and access to knowledge, absolutely, without a doubt. Ni'mah of the ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bila shak. But do not be so naive to think that everything that is posted about Islam or everything that is posted about Shiaism on the net is accurate. This is to be naive in the most polite way, if not stupidity, and excuse my language, to think that everything in the net in regards to religion is legit. Enter, ya subhanallah, when you want to buy a product over the internet, you want to buy any commodity over the internet, you will spend utmost effort to make sure that the site is legit, They're not going to take your money or rip you off or con you. You're going to be absolutely sure and do all your research to make sure that the product you want to buy is legit. Once you are fully convinced about the legitimacy of the site, Madri, this, what is it, Amazon or eBay, you have the stars and the rating and everything of that sort. You do everything to make sure that you're not going to get ripped off. This is your money. If I can take care in my materialistic deeds to ensure I'm not getting ripped off, then what about my ideology? Ya subhanallah. Where I take my religion from is absolutely important. This kalam is particularly for us as in Shia, Ithna Ashari. Look at the state of our affairs. How sorry it is. And we owe it to ourselves and to Imam al-Hussein to be people of truth. Look at our perception of every major fundamental issue that affects our deen from within. You will find, subhanallah, perception on azadari, perception on taqiyya, perception on ideology, perception on unity, perception on imamat, perception on fada'il ahlul bayt, people who support it, people who fight against it. Why these differences within the major issues within our thought? Because unfortunately we become affected and influenced by our surroundings, because we resort to uncredible sources of information and then form our perceptions based on this. We neglected Ahlul Bayt. I give you an example, even though there's a little bit of humor in this, but it drives a point solid home. There was one time, there was a wedding going on. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. There was a wedding that was going on in London. And I was a part of this wedding. As you know, a big part, or not a big part, but a part of the responsibilities sometimes is that as an alim you have to participate and conduct the wedding ceremonies that are going on within the mosques. And generally the nikah ceremony is held within the mosque. So we were there. We go for the wedding, everything happens, you have eaten your biryani and everyone's outside chilling, things like that, you know. And this brother comes. This brother comes. He comes to me and he says, Shaykhuna, you know this Imam Dhamin that we wear on our hands? I don't know if we have the Imam Dhamin over here. We wear it for safety when you are traveling. So wear it, Imam Dhamin. Even traditionally when the bride and the groom is coming out of the house and they're going to go into the new house, they have the Imam Dhamin, safety. There is hadith about this, but anyway. He comes to me, he says, Shaykhuna, this Imam Dhamin which we are wearing and which we have been doing for all these hundreds of years, do you know actually it is a Hindu tradition? Ya subhanallah. Hindu tradition? How? So I asked him, Hajj, because everything, our fundamental statement has been what from day one? That anything we utter, anything we believe in ideology, dalil, proof. Haji, what do you mean it's from a Hindu? For me this is new. Ya subhanallah, how? Look at his reasoning. He says to me, Shaykhuna, I was watching Fulan Bollywood movie when Fulan actor who is from a Hindu movie was leaving from the village to go to Mumbai to look for work. His mother was bidding him farewell and she tied for him Imam Dhamin. Therefore, this shows me that Imam Dhamin is actually within Hindu tradition. And I looked at him and I say, Subhanallah, how low have we fallen at an intellectual level that a Bollywood movie has become a hujjah and a dalil through which I will take a hukum shara'i. Ya subhanallah, jahal. And then he go on to do this and spread rumors within the families. This Imam Dhamin, Hindu, we saw this inside. And you find 101 examples like this within our faith. Even within Azadari, even within everything. Who do you complain to? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Ignorance and the effect of ignorance. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. For our responsibility is to educate ourselves. Educate ourselves and learn about your religion through Ahlul Bayt, through Maraja who represent the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. Not everybody who sits on this minbar, unfortunately. Ishara and I will move. Munafiq never tells you I am Munafiq. Munafiq comes in the shakl, in the form of men of religion. Just like the way you are absolutely careful that you are not robbed of your money, be careful you are not robbed of your aqidah as well. Ala kullin, this for another time. For we need to ask ourselves the question, am I on the faith or am I on the path of Ahlul Bayt like the way I claim or no? Am I truthful in my claim? When I'm seeking an answer for this, number one, I need to check back the masdar of my ilm. All this ilm that I'm taking, perceptions that I'm forming about the religion, are they taken from credible sources that come back to the religion or no? I cannot claim to be a follower of Amirul Mu'mineen and take knowledge from anyone other than Amirul Mu'mineen, the enemies of Amirul Mu'mineen. Then don't call myself a follower of Amirul Mu'mineen. Ala kulli, this is one. Number two, my lifestyle. Is my lifestyle a reflection of the teachings of Ahlul Bayt or no? I have a target that I want to be from the Ashabul Maymana. And the Ashabul Maymana can only be Ashabul Maymana if they are following or they have been loyal to the Sabiqun, which is Ahlul Bayt. Basically, if I want success in the Akhirah, I need to implement the teachings of Ahlul Bayt in my life. Is it there or no? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within the Quran tells us, Kunu ma'as sadiqeen. Be with those who are the sadiqeen. Subhanallah, this in itself is a lecture on its own. Who are the sadiqeen? Khulasa sadiqeen Ahlul Bayt. Allah tells us, be with the Ahlul Bayt every moment of your life. So I need to ask myself, the manner in which I conduct my marriage, is this the marriage that Amirul Mu'mineen would accept? Marriage Imam Hussein would accept? My behavior in a marriage, if the Imam was present in this marriage, would he be happy to see the way I'm conducting myself? I need to ask myself serious questions. This is faith. This is a question of eternity. How do I want to spend my eternity? And I need to prepare accordingly. And these are the best nights for inspiration. Allah is Arhamur Rahimeen. Imam al-Hussein, Safinatul Najat. Just that determination is needed. Make the decision. Tonight is the night of Abbas Salamullah alayhi. Make the decision on the night of Abul Fadil. Ya Imam, I want to be with you. You help me. You just need a determination on your side. And you find that the Imam comes to help us and guide us. One of the greatest characters of the people of the Ashabul Maymana is that they are people of loyalty. People of loyalty. Unfortunately, this is something that we lack. Again, as a community in general, everyone guilty. I shouldn't say everyone, I am guilty. Begin with me. Point the finger at myself before anybody else. Have we ever thought to ourselves, why is the Imam in Ghaibah? The harsh reality is that 313 loyal are not there. And instead of pointing the finger around me, I need to point the finger at myself and blame myself that I'm not from these 313. The greatest character that is needed from the ummah in order for the Imam to reappear is loyalty. Why was Muslim bin Aqil martyred in Kufa? Lack of loyalty. Why did Amir al-Mu'mineen, the people, abandon him in Siffin? Lack of loyalty. Why did Imam al-Hassan go and perform the ceasefire? Lack of loyalty from his own people. Why didn't every other Imam after Sayyid al-Shuhada not stand up? Lack of loyalty. Why is our Imam in Ghaiba? Lack of loyalty. We are way too lenient when it comes to the issue of imama and wilaya. And we are so happy to sacrifice it and compromise it to achieve a perceived greater good, which is nothing more than a mirage. No greater good can be achieved by abandoning Ahlul Bayt. All good is achieved by embracing Ahlul Bayt. But fear to be part of a wider community and integration and secularization and to not be the black sheep. Yalla, Qurbani, wilaya of Ahlul Bayt. It's a harsh reality. Where do we get the answers for things like this? It goes back to our first point, taking ilm from Ahlul Bayt. They are the ones who teach us how to achieve unity. Unity does not mean uniformity. They are the ones who teach us how to peacefully, positively coexist with a wider community without you having to give up your principles or your faith or your iman in the wilaya of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Do we have that law? The funny thing is that there are 1,001 justifications for that. But at the end of the day, this is the job of shaitan, right? Justify whatever makes us sleep well. Loyalty. And you find that the ashab of Imam al-Hussein, 72 of them, all of them on one side, without a doubt, if I could be like the dust under their feet, Allah. Tibtum wa tabatil ardu allati fiha dufintum. Imam al-Sadiq teaches us, when you address them, don't address them like normal human beings. The way we said on the night of Zuhair ibn al-Kain, alayhi salam. Bi abi ummi, bi abi antum wa ummi. May my father and mother be sacrificed for you. They were at the peak. But from this peak, there was somebody who was his own category. And that is Maulana Abul Fadl al-Abbas. Look at the way Imam al-Sadiq, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. Ya Ali. Look at the way he teaches us to address Abul Fadl. When you go into the Haram al-Sharif, may Allah give all of us an opportunity to perform the ziyarah of Abul Fadl and Maulana Sayyid al-Shuhada. Ilahi Ameen. When you enter the Haram of Abul Fadl, you stand there. Ziyarah is mentioned in Kamilu Ziyarat Ibn Qawlaway. We mentioned him as a text a couple of nights as well. Book which is also translated in English. Must have. Kamilu Ziyarat, Imam Sadiq teaches you when you stand in front of Abul Fadl and you send salam on him, you say, Ashhadu annaka bit-tasdeeq wat-taslim wal-wafa wal-nasiha li khalafi rasulil mursal. The first thing you do when you see Abul Fadl and you send salam on him, you say, I bear witness that you were trustworthy, you submitted to your Imam unconditionally, wal wafa. Allah, this is the kalam of our talk, loyalty. If you ever feel pressured or intimidated about being in a minority, then seek inspiration from Karbala. We praise Abul Fadl for his wafa, loyalty towards Imam al-Hussein. the peak of loyalty. We don't say that he's the personification of loyalty. If loyalty wanted a definition, it would come to Abul Fadil. Allahu Akbar. This Abul Fadil who was created for the day of Ashura. The way we mentioned in the advent of Zuhair ibn al-Kain, so I do not wish to repeat it again. The narrations of the historians mention that on the 9th of Ashura, Yawm al-Tasu'ah, known as Tasu'ah, Friday, we're just a few days away from this great day, Yawm al-Fasl, Ashura, Saturday. We said Yawm al-Fasl. For me and you, we have to make sure between now and Saturday how we are going to accept or how we are going to approach the day of Ashura. Where are we on this division with Imam against the Imam? In our hearts, in our attitude, in our action. Abul Fadil, the peak of loyalty. The historians mention Tasu'ah, 9th of Muharram. The army of Ibn Marjana al-La'in, or the army of Umar ibn Sa'ad al-La'in, is now completed, full-fledged. The last contingency to come in of 4,000 men is led by Shimr ibn Dhil Jawshan al-La'in. He comes and now the army is complete. He comes and he says to Umar ibn Sa'ad that we have a command from the governor in Kufa, Ibn Ziyad. War needs to be today, 9th, not 10th. They say, go and approach him. But before that, Shimr al-La'in comes and stands in front of the camp of Imam al-Hussein, and he calls out, where are the men of my tribe? Where is Abbas and his brothers? I give you security. I give you aman. You have absolutely no liability. We give you security and amnesty. Come join us and you shall not suffer. You shall not be killed. You live a life of honor. So when he called out to Abul Fadl al-Abbas, because they were from the same tribe, from the mother's side, the Bani Kilab, Abul Fadl refuses to answer. Imam al-Hussein says to him, answer him even though he's a fasiq. Go and see what he wants. Wafa, submission, loyalty. Every action that you perform is in line with the command of the Imam. Abul Fadl, in obedience to the command of Imam al-Hussein, goes out to the battlefield. What do you want? Amnesty for you and your brothers because you are from the tribe of Bani Kilab. Do not think for a split second that people like the likes of Shimr had humanity within them. Oh, because it's from the same tribe. The way you would say in Gujarati, apropota noche, come. La, abadan la. These are people who were cunning. People who were beasts, who had fear. It's because he feared Abul Fadl. He knew that Abul Fadl himself is an army. Therefore, try and break their ranks by getting Abul Fadl over. It says, I give you amnesty, you're the people, we're people of the same tribe. Abul Fadl says to him, la'na on you and la'na on your amnesty. These exact words. La'na on you and la'na on your amnesty. You give me safety and protection while my master is under siege. Impossible. I shall not separate from my master. Loyalty, wafa. This is what we need to ask Allah to grant us on a night like this. Shimr goes. There is absolutely no hope. The Maqtal mentions that the day of Ashura began, and as all the men were engaged in war, one after one, every companion of Imam al-Hussein became shaheed. After the remaining companions were shaheed, the people or the youth of Bani Hashim went into war. One after the other, everyone became shaheed. There came a cross at some time where there was no Qasim. Qasim is shaheed. Aliyun al-Akbar is shaheed. Allah, Allah. Children of Muslim bin Aqil are shaheed. At this point, the Maktal narrates that Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas got his three brothers together, Abdullah, Jaffar and Uthman. The name Amir al-Mu'mineen named him Uthman after his companion Uthman ibn Mad'un, who was a Shia, not after Uthman ibn Affan, the way people think. He gathered his three brothers together, Jafar, Uthman and Abdullah, and he says to them, I want you to give your life in defense of the grandson of Rasulullah and the daughter of Fatima. Abu al-Fadl was the eldest brother, his three younger brothers. He says, I want to see the pain of my brothers die in front of me, and you do jihad in front of Rasulullah's grandson. The narration mentions that Abdullah, Jafar and Uthman went into the battlefield. Each one became shaheed. When there remained no one amongst the companions and amongst the family members of Imam al-Hussein, there were only two men inside the camp, the third one being Sajjad, who was sick. Abu al-Fadl comes to Imam al-Hussein and he says to him, "O my master, Ya Sayyid, he says, "O my master, Ya Sayyidi, I want to take revenge from these munafiqeen and I want to dispatch them away from you." Imam al-Hussein says to him, "O my brother Abbas, how can I let you go into the battlefield? فَأَنْتَ صَاحِبُ لِوَائِي." Allah, Allah. Imam al-Hussein says to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, "You are the standard bearer of my army. If I let you go, there is no army." Allahu Akbar. Abu al-Fadl says, "But I'm tired of these munafiqeen." Imam al-Hussein says to Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, "Well, if that is the case, go and seek water." The narration mentions that Abu al-Fadl walked into the battlefield and he addressed Shimar. And he says to Shimar, "O Shimar, this is my master Hussein. You have killed all his companions and you have killed all his family members. And you have left his children and women to die of thirst. They are dying of thirst. Within the tents are the cries of Al-Atash, Al-Atash. 3 days in the burning sand, they don't have water. Feed them some water." Shimar says to him, "Even if the entire world was filled with water and we had access to it, we would let the pigs drink from this river, but we would not let the children of Hussein drink." Allahu Akbar. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas says to them, "If you are so bent upon killing him and you think we are a threat, let us go to Rome. Let us go to India, Rome or Hind. Let us leave and we'll leave Hijaz and Iraq for you to rule." But they were insistent on killing him. They say, "We shall not leave until you pledge bay'ah to Yazid or we sever your head from your body." Allahu Akbar. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas goes back to the Khaymah. And now tonight as we recite the Masaib, I want to take your hearts back to Karbala. Inta Janabak, you are walking with Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. For they are in the Khaymaga. Abu al-Fadl goes to Imam al-Hussein and he says, people are not willing to listen. Imam al-Hussein gives him permission to go and gain water for the children. The narration mentions that as soon as the youngest daughter of Imam al-Hussein, Ruqayya or Sakina, heard about the water, she went and she told all the children that my uncle Abbas is going to get water. Allah, Allah. All the children's hopes are raised. They are waiting for Abbas to come back. The narration mentions Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas he took his sword, he took the alam, he took the mashk or the water bag around his neck and he sat on his horse. He turned around to look at his brother Imam al-Hussein for one last moment and then he rode into the battlefield. Bismillahi wa billah. Allah, Allah. This is the jihad of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. The narration mentions he rode into the battlefield on his horse, reciting the poem saying, "Uqatilu al-qawma biqalbi muhtadin wa adhibbu an sibti an-nabiy Ahmadin adribkum bis-sarim al-muhajjin محندي حتى تحيلوا عن قتال سيدي إني أنا العباس ذو التودد نجل علي المرتضى المؤيد. Abbas went into the battlefield saying, indeed I shall defend the sons of Rasulullah with my sword. I shall attack you until you disappear or you dispel. I am Abbas. I am the son of that Ali who was helped with the Malaika. The narration mentions he attacked the enemies in a severe way. 4,000 archers were posted between him and the Furat, but the way and the ferocity with which Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas attacked the enemies, they mention, we didn't know if this is Abbas or if this is Haydar al-Karrar from Barzakh who has come. The Maktal says, فَإِنْ كَلَبَتْ مَيْمَنَتَهُمْ مَيْسَرَةً وَمَيْسَرَتَهُمْ مَيْمَنَةً. Abu al-Fadl attacked them, dispatching the right wing, dispatching the left wing until he came into the Furat. Allahu Akbar. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, the son of Ali, Haydar al-Karrar, has conquered the Furat. The narration mentions at this point Abu al-Fadl came off his horse. He went down into the Furat and he lifted the water of Furat in his hands. At this point he recited a poem. He said, Ya nafsu min ba'di al-Husayni huni wa ba'dahu ma kunti an takuni. Hadha al-Husayn waridul manuni wa tashrabin baridil ma'ini. La wallah ma hadha min فعال ديني ما هذا من فعال صادق اليقين. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas takes the water in his hands and he looks at the water and he says, oh nafs, how can you drink the water, or what reason is there to be alive after your master Hussein? Yani there is no value in life without Hussein. He says to his nafs, he says, oh nafs, how can you drink this water while your master Hussein is thirsty? Indeed, I can never drink the water while my Imam is thirsty. This can never be from the actions of my deen. The narration mentions he threw the water back down. The enemies are all surrounding Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, looking at what his next step is going to be. He removes the mashk from around his neck. He fills the entire mashk with water. At this point, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas is not thinking of anyone but Ruqayya or Sakina, the daughter of Imam al-Hussein. The narration mentions he puts the mashk on around his neck. He sits on his horse, the sword in one hand, the alam on the other hand. Between him, or in front of him, he has got thousands of enemies. But Abu al-Fadl's eyesight is towards the Khaymaga. His determination is towards the Khaymaga. He has only one mission, and this is to bring the water back to Sakina, to bring the water back to Aliyun al-Asghar. The narration mentions that Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas decided to take the route away from the battlefield through the palm trees. Less enemies, he will be able to get the water faster back to the tents. The narration mentions as he started riding his horse, he struck every enemy that he came across in front of him, such that no enemy was willing to come in front of him until he passed by an area where there were palm trees. Allah, Allah, ya Shia. The narration mentions that one la'in by the name of Zayd ibn Rukkad was hiding behind a palm tree. As soon as Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas rode his horse past the palm tree, Zayd took his sword and he struck the right arm of Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. He severed the entire forearm. Allah, Allah. Abbas is sitting on his horse. He looks at his arm bleeding from the ground. His arm is bleeding. The arm is fallen down to the ground. At this point, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas takes the Abu Fadl Abbas takes the alam and the horse in his, the alam and the sword in his left hand. As he looks at the remaining part of his bleeding forearm, he recites, he looks at the enemy and he recites a poem. He says, Wallahi in kata'atumu yamini, fa inni uhami abadan an dini, an imamin sadiqil yakini, najlun nabiyyat tahiril amini. You would think that Abu Fadl's determination went down when he saw his severed right hand on the ground. Instead he says, Wallah, even if you cut my right arm, I will continue to protect my deen. If you cut my right arm, I will still continue to protect my imam, the son of my Nabi. The narration mentions with one hand Abu Fadl has the alam and he has the sword. The mashk is around his chest. The primary goal is to protect the mashk as he continues riding the horse. Another enemy, La'in by the name of Hakim ibn Tufail. He sees that Maulana Abbas has only one arm. He comes and he strikes the left arm of Abu Fadl. Allah, he struck it from the forearm with such force that the entire arm of Abbas fell to the ground. The sword fell. At this point, the narration mentions that Abu Fadl Abbas took the alam, he put it against his chest, and he was balancing it with whatever was remaining from his arm. Allah, Abu Fadl is balancing the alam with his chest and the remaining part of his severed arm. At this point, when he saw that he has no arms, he recited the poem and he says, Ya nafsi la takhsha min al-kuffar wabshiri bi rahmatil jabbar ma'an nabi sayyid al-abrar fi jumlat sadat al-athar kad katta'u bi baghyi ببغضهم يساري فأصلهم في النار فأصلهم يا ربي في النار. Abu Fadl looks at both his arms. He doesn't have any hands. What should he do? He says, Oh nafs, do not be scared of these kuffar and bear glad tidings that you are now going to meet your Lord. You are now going to be with Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen. The narration mentions as Abu Fadl Abbas sat on the horse without any arms, the enemy said he doesn't have an arm to defend himself. Attack him with arrows from every direction. The Maktal mentions that it rained arrows on Abu Fadl from every direction. From all the arrows that pierced Abu Fadl, there were two that stood out. Allah ya Shia. The first arrow is the arrow that pierced the eye of Maulana Abbas. Allah, the narration mentions as soon as the arrow pierced his eye, blood began to flow. And the second arrow was that arrow that pierced the mashk with water. The narration mentions, or the poet says, as the water began to flow down the mashk onto the sand of Karbala, it is as if the ruh of Abbas wanted to come out. Allah, the narration mentions at this point, Abu Fadl al-Abbas is sitting on the horse, the mashk is pierced, the water is flowing down onto the sand, he doesn't know what to do. The narration mentions at this point, Abu Fadl sat on the horse, he said, what should I do? If I go towards the khayma, how will I go to the khayma and tell Sakina there is no water? If I turn back to go to the Furat, Allah, I don't even have arms to fill water. As he was sitting and contemplating what to do, the narration mentions فَضَرَبَهُ لَئِينَ بِالْعَمُودِ عَلَى رَأْسِهِ وَفَلَكَ هَامَّتُهُ. The narration mentions an enemy came and he struck Abu Fadl al-Abbas with a metal pole on his head, crushing the skull of Abbas. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. مات بحسين.
Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا مجبور ہوئی میں بس، مجبور ہوئے بھائی بس، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، مازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، آزار جفا مجبور ہوئے بے بس، دور کی عازت میں بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا مجمع کوفیوں کا میرے چلنے کی جا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میرے سر سے نابار چھنی چادر، بلوے میں نبی زادی پھروائی گئی در در، مل جائے ردا مجھ کو اور میری دعا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میرے دل کو یہ درد ستاتا ہے، سر غازی کے نیزے سے جب خاک پہ آتا ہے، سر میرا کھلا دیکھیں غم اس سے بڑا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، سب جواب دیے، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد چلوں کیسے لاکھوں ہے تماشائی، یاد آتا ہے رہ رہ کے عباس میرا بھائی، فریاد کروں تجھ سے اب تیرے سوا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا معلوم ہے ادا کو غازی کی بہن ہوں میں، بے دست ہے یہ وہ غازی پابند رسن ہوں میں، یاد آئی وفا اس کی جب پاس رہا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں. آزار جفا سجاد تیری حالت دیکھی نہیں جاتی، پہ پردہ مجھے دیکھے یہ بات رلاتی ہے. سجاد تیری طرح کانٹوں پہ چلا کوئی نہیں، بازار جفا سجاد میں زینب ہوں، میرے سر پہ ردا کوئی نہیں.
میں عشق کے سفر پہ چلا، ہر ایک قدم پہ کرتا ہوا شکر خدا، شکر خدا، شکر خدا، شکر خدا. جب میں نے سرزمین نجف پر رکھا قدم، دل نے میری ارادہ کیا یا شہ امم، یا شہ امم، یا شہ امم، یہ تجھ سے محبت ہے میری، آؤ جو زیارت کو تیری. ابن علی، ابن علی، ابن علی، ابن علی، گر قبول میری عقیدت برا سلام، پیدل نجف سے کرب و بلا آئیں گا غلام، آئیں گا غلام، آئیں گا. المدد یا شہ کربلا، المدد یا شہ لافتہ، المدد یا شہ کربلا، المدد یا شہ لافتہ. میں پیدل چلا کربلا، میں پیدل، میں پیدل چلا کربلا. ناز قسمت پہ کرتا ہوا میں پیدل چلا کربلا، میں پیدل چلا کربلا، میں پیدل. میرے سینے میں بچپن سے ارمان تھا، آ گیا گر وہاں سے بلاوا میرا، شاہ مردہ کی در سے سوئے کربلا، اپنی پیاروں پہ چلتا ہوا جاؤں گا. شکر مولا وہ دین آ گیا، میں پیدل چلا کربلا، میں پیدل چلا کربلا، میں پیدل چلا کر. ناز قسمت پہ کرتا ہوا میں پیدل.
اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان اللعین الرجیم. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. السلام علیکہ یا رسول اللہ، السلام علیکہ یا امیر المؤمنین، السلام علیکہ یا سید فاطمۃ الزہرا، السلام علیکہ یا امام حسن المجتبی، السلام علیکہ یا مولانا یا ابا عبداللہ الحسین، وعلی الارواح التي حلت بفنائک، وخاصة مولانا ابی الفضل العباس قمر بنی ہاشم.
علم اونچا